the strength for you. I'm always looking for you. I brushed it off, pushed it aside, but I couldn't help. I was looking.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week 2, day 2 of SQ1. This is patch 9.3, so we have a lot in store for you today. I am Seadogs, and joining me is Luke Davari.
Hello.
And we will be here for Unknown Enemy versus Glorious Gaming as we quickly go down through the rosters. UE, also known as Unknown Enemy in the top lane, will be a sub. That is Demo. In the jungle will be Dewey. Mid lane, Colin. Aim in the AD carry or bot position, and their support, Looney. Now, on the other side for GG, also known as Glorious Gaming, it is Lizard in the top lane, Samus in the jungle, Purin in the mid lane, Whisper in the AD carry or bot position, and Flicker in that support position. Now, Sherlock, what are we expecting from these two teams?
Well, what we're expecting from this matchup is pretty simple. If UE decides not to ban GG's comfort picks during the draft, you can sure expect that GG will be storming through the games as they did before, both in the first day of the league and then in the qualifiers. GG won versus CBA, who was called as one of the best team in the leagues by Lao Ganma.
Mm-hmm.
And GG managed to win the game with a pretty confident fashion, actually. Samus went berserk on his Camille pick, and Perun had a good statement on the Syndra. He ended the game in 10-4, I think. So, if you leave these picks as open and you're pretty much inviting GG to take over the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now
I was actually going to say something, but I'll let you go ahead first.
Okay, because I wanted to highlight something. Whisper and Aim are going to be players to watch here. For one thing, because we are live on patch 9.3. Big changes to the AD carry itemizations. IE has been pretty much reverted, so maybe this will change the tier list in the AD carry position, and we're going to see maybe some new itemization coming into this match.
That's actually exactly what I was going to move us on to. The fact that we're on patch 9.3 and there's been so many different changes to the champions, specifically the AD carries, the itemization for them, but also the nerfs to Akali, the nerfs in some ways to Cassiopeia, to Camille, and huge nerfs coming in for Aurelia and Akali. So there's so many of these top tier picks, especially in the top side of the map. The Akali, as I said, the Aurelia, and the Aatrox, specifically the top three, that have been pretty much gutted that we don't expect to see. Although, to be honest, my first ranked game this morning, I got an Aatrox in the top lane who went 0-8. So you never know, it might be picked. It might be picked, but it definitely won't be very comfortable in that top side since the nerf to the Umbral Dash has given a lot more room for opportunities to exploit the kind of rough laning phase that Aatrox now has.
Yeah, big changes to the top tier champions that we've seen in esports for the past months now. Aatrox, Aurelia, Akali, as you said, these picks were super dominant since almost summer split of the last year. So now that these are heavily nerfed for Akali, Aurelia, Aatrox, they removed his healing onto non-champions, and they tweaked the way Umbral Trespass worked, so you cannot dash twice in a row anymore.
Yeah.
I think Aatrox will still be a very strong pick because his raw power in lane, his heavy damages came from the Q spell and his ability to chase on the target using his W. So I still think that Aatrox is strong. He's different from the preceding patch, and now that we're hopping right into the pick and ban phase, we're gonna see what are the teams gonna think about the changes of this patch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they put the priority. And the first ban will be the Camille targeted towards Samus. You were telling me in the pregame, just before we came on live, that is one of Samus's best and most played champions, although it is only a 30% win rate at this point on the patch for Samus in solo queue. Doesn't mean it doesn't work out in competitive even after the nerf. And Karthus being taken away as well, targeted towards Riggs, Demo, Colin, AIM, basically can go anywhere at this point, and it wasn't nerfed on the patch.
So they managed to target Samus. The guy, 100% win rate on Camille. He's been storming through the qualifiers. He's been playing a defining role in their game versus CBA. So you bet they ban Camille right away, first ban, because that's exactly the pick that GG has been relying on for now. Is the Lucian banned away by GG? Mainly because AIM, the AD carry of UE, he plays almost exclusively Lucian across these two seasons. And since they are blue side, they could have just grabbed it right away, because Lucian doesn't really have a bad matchup, especially since UE banned away the Cassiopeia, which is maybe the only pick that can hold a Lucian, because you outrange him. So yeah, good call banning away the Lucian. Now it's an Urgot locked in. One of the top tier top laner that hasn't changed throughout the patch. And he might be even stronger now, because remember, Cyan used to be the top one Urgot matchup, because he could hold the Urgot with so much tankiness and his amazing wave clear. Now that his damages on the Q spell have been heavily reduced, we are going to see what pick does GG have as a response to that Urgot.
It will be interesting to see where that Urgot will go. Obviously, a flex pick, we're expecting for Demo to have that in the top side. Lissandra, it's a known response to the Urgot pick, and the Vayne will be locked in for AIM, one of his other most played champions. Interesting now to see how he'll itemize when we go into the game, due to, as we said, the changes on patch 9.3, the changes to actually every crit item in the game, to the Last Whisper as well, if we want to include that, and the hover of the Twitch, something that should be so powerful with this current patch, and it will be locked in. That should be going to Whisper in the AD carry position.
We haven't seen Twitch in a long time in esports. So it's going to be interesting to see what his Whisper plans for itemizing this pick. I'm quite curious about the support they're going to choose for Twitch. Remember that he synergizes the most with Ardent Sensor supports.
Which is why they're banning away the Lulu.
Banned right away. I'm almost expecting the Janna as a last ban. Or Flicker Ultra?
Just a few more seconds to see what they want to ban out next on the side of GG. It will be the Braum, synergizes pretty well with the Vayne, with the passive stacks of the concussive blows that would come out from the Vayne. Expecting, you said, for to see another Ardent Sensor support, the Janna being taken away on the side of UE here, but that still leaves up the Soraka, the Karma, other poke-heavy supports in the bottom side that also can support the Twitch really, really well. So it will be the Nami also taken away. So the Janna's still up for the engage, disengage, for the heal, for the shield, that you can basically go from iron to diamond just maxing your E on Janna, or so it's known anyway. So just a few more seconds to see what they'll lock in for their next pick, and they'll still have the counter pick available in that last pick for Flicker.
Just remember that this Lissandra could go both mid lane and top lane. We've seen Lissandra top before, mostly in the LCK though. Now, Zilean locked in. Flex picks everywhere, mostly, because you could go Lissandra in the top lane, Zilean mid. We've seen that before.
Haven't you heard from Flexius? Flexius was always saying flex picks are the way to go.
Yeah, and now Colin has taken Anivia. So I want to talk a bit about Colin's Anivia because it's with the Anivia pick that UE has managed to beat Royal Reapers last week. UE were heavily underdogs in going into Royal Reapers. They lost to them in the qualifiers, and yet they managed to beat them on stage, mainly because of the Anivia Vayne combo. Two champions that they have played into Royal Reapers, and now we are going to see Nico support.
Support in inverted commas, I think you could say. Full AP Nico in the bottom side. We're assuming that's going to be a full AP Zillion in the bottom side, as well as Vladimir gets locked in. So it could be Vladimir top, Lissandra mid, it could be Lissandra top and Vladimir mid. A little bit more flexibility in that team comp there, but it looks like on the side of Unknown Enemy that they're just going to pick up their own champions in that rotation. Is it going to be a support Lissandra? I'd have to doubt that. No, it's going to be the Lissandra in the middle lane there. So take us through a little bit of the matchups. I think we'd like to look specifically at the Vladimir into the Urgot to start.
Vladimir into Urgot, I'm not really sure how well does the Vladimir get into this matchup. Sure, it's a ranged pick, so Urgot's not going to be able to kite him as easily as any other top lane champion. But still, Vladimir is known for having a very, very weak early game. He needs his items to get online in a game, and Urgot he's basically a lane bully, right? So we will be monitoring that matchup in the top lane throughout the game, see how well it does. Also, Sejuani, Xinzhao, these picks are very aggressive. In fact, Sejuani a bit less than the Xin, of course, but still an aggressive pick. You can get very easy ganks with that, and once you hit level 6, the ganking execution is just so easy. You just throw in the glacial prison, and it's basically GG.
Basically, yeah. So speaking about the Sejuani and the Xinjiao, we're expecting this early jungle priority, this early jungle pressure. Xinjiao known for those level 2 ganks once he has his Hail of Blades, as well for the extra knock-up capabilities, because you'll get that extra hit of your auto attacks with your 3-talon strike on your Q. So we're expecting level 2 gang maybe in the top side, try and keep Demo and this Urgot down, specifically maybe towards the Nivea in the middle lane, because it's such a low mobility mage. Where's the priority?
Yep. Also, one question going into the game will be, did the Xinzhao pick Aerie or Hail of Blades?
Aerie would be really weird.
No, I'm sorry. I got confused right there. Not Aerie, Phase Rush.
Phase Rush. That makes much more sense than Aerie.
Yeah, right. Damn, that's Shield with the Aerie? No, I was talking about the Phase Rush, actually. That's what I had in mind. Because Hail of Blades Xin gets a lot of early damages. It gives him so much burst once he leaps onto his target.
Yeah.
Now, with Phase Rush, it could actually give him the opportunity to chase onto the Vayne, the Nico, Anivia. Vayne and Nico are quite slippery picks, so it would make a lot of sense for Xinjiao to go into the game with a Phase Rush, actually.
Just have to wait and see what keystones he has picked up. But just before we go into the game, I'd like to ask for your pick as to which team you think will win just from the draft. Which team do you think is going to take the win?
Which pick is going to overwhelm the game?
Twitch. I'm looking at the Twitch.
Can I get one pick per team?
Sure, we can have a couple of picks to watch from either team. One
Okay,
pick to
so
watch from each team.
for UE, I was gonna say Twitch, of course,
Yes.
earlier in the draft because I was expecting an Ardent support, but they decided to go for the Zilean, who will surely build an Ardent as well because the IRE procs the Ardent sensor. But the thing is, Zilean is a bit different because of the revive, so he has much more utility in the sense that if the Vladimir gets superfed and starts to be overwhelming for UE, Zilean can just pop that chrono shift onto Vladimir and automatically win team fights because you have to kill the guy twice, and he has the pool, the Hemoplague, he's unkillable. So for GG, I'm actually going to say Zilean.
Not the Twitch. Okay.
Yeah, because Twitch is just a pig that does its job, right?
That's all you want from a Twitch. You just want him to use his Q, get the invisibility, have 3 or 4 items, pop up out of nowhere, and just shred the front and back line at the same time. Don't have enough time for the Anivia to get this done. Don't have enough time for the Vayne to do anything because she's just going to be blown up. And you need the reaction time to be so quick from the Urgot and Sejuani and even the Nico to try and stop him from doing anything because he does rat-tat-tat and everyone's dead.
That, or you could actually try to play around the bot side of the map for UE.
You could.
You have a Sejuani, dude. You also have the Nico. The route is so easy to get onto one member of the bot lane. I mean, you can basic. What I like with this with both teams' compositions is that they don't rely on a single win condition. They have they have at least 2 or 3 ways to play the game, to get one of their carries fed and steamroll onto the game. Like, if you look at UE's comp, it could be any pick. If you look at GG's comp, it could be any pick any carry as well. So that's going to be exciting. I think that the individual talent will be the deciding factor for this game, because how solo lanes well, not solo lanes, but how lanes would transition into mid game will be the deciding factor of who will win the game.
And something that we actually weren't informed on by the teams, by UE specifically, is that Riggs is going to be their jungler, not Dewey, for this game. Interestingly, we weren't informed of that. We were informed of the change, the sub Demo instead of Valchaos in that top side. So just so you guys know, isn't Dewey, as far as we're aware. It is a completely different player. It is Riggs. So they're going to purposefully get Nico spotted out towards this top side, make them think that he's starting off on his blue buff. He's really starting off on his red. And they're going to get a leash now on the side of GG from Lizard.
Urgot is fake pooling as well, so that might actually work to try to give some false information on the jungler's starting position. Also, Sejuani starting on her red buff sure is something, as
this is a really weird trade in the middle lane, and Colin doing barely any damage, and Perrin just taking the best of it, just throwing out a couple of Qs here and there, and Colin still has that passive egg available, of course, so he's not going to be too messed up or too unhappy with the trading in the middle lane just yet. However, both junglers are towards the bottom side.
There are 2 champions in the game that are known for having the most crappy auto attacks, which are Karthus and Anivia. Why would you take a trade with Anivia just
attack speed on hit Karthus, my friend? Why not? Not just the Skittles of damage.
Maybe she has some Last Whisper in there. So, about the pathing, Sejuani decided to go for a full red side clean. Something a bit unusual, as today, I mean, in the current meta, it's more about vertical jungling, But since the Xinzhao hasn't been spotted in the river yet, that's why maybe they decided not to invade for now, and Sejuani is gonna do a full clean of her jungle, just play the games at a slow pace, and try to maybe scale, getting to the point where Anivia and Vayne will be able to win teamfights. But with the composition, I'm actually not quite sure about who wins the late game. I mean, GG, if the Lissandra ever manages to lock down the Vayne in late game teamfights.
In the middle lane, use the W to get the stun, force the flash, and the cleanse away will go down into the egg form, but Samus taking a lot of damage from the tower shots. They expelled one summoner for 2, got the passive as well, so that's pretty much in favor of GG in the middle lane.
Yeah, now Sejuani is on the same side as Samus, but unfortunately she was too late to prevent that gank. Xinzhao, speaking of him, he actually decided to go for Hail of Blades. And now
has the flash in the middle lane, uses the W. Cullen doesn't have his passive available. Wing becomes lightning, picks up first blood, but trades it back.
And that's actually that actually might turn into the favor of UE, as Xinzhao decided to go for Hail of Blade, so he doesn't have that bonus movement speed that will allow him to chase Vayne later in the game. So yeah, you do remember that Vayne should be like Xinzhao's priority target in the late game, because he will fall off, so he needs to disrupt the AD carry in teamfights. He's not going to be able to do that, and because he got the kill, even if it's the first blood, it doesn't put the Lissandra in such a good spot. It doesn't put Lissandra in such a good spot, as she had to blow her flash and the ignite comes through.
Yeah, and Sejuani's in the bottom side. Use the Flail of the North. Riggs picks up the kill in the bottom side. Samus is there as well, but he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Going to trade one back, but going to give up his life. Actually, he picks up the double kill. He's taking so much damage, giving nothing back until just now. So that's just a 2 for 2.
Aim, what did you do? Yeah, they're
It's the classic EU pause. Something went wrong with my game. Remake, please.
Something went wrong in the bot lane. Vayne ended up actually tumbling into the Xinzhao, giving him the double kill. I don't know if that was intentional or not. So maybe there's a bit of connectivity.
Yeah, just to update you guys, it is a problem with Lizard. In that top side, it was a pause on the side of GG. He's having a little bit of connectivity issues, a bit of lag, so they're just going to get back into the game as soon as they can. However, I would like to point out that it is just under 1,000 gold lead for Glorious Gaming at this point, and it is an Infernal Drake. That's the first Drake to be spawned, so they're going to have a lot of fighting over that objective.
It's 1,000 gold lead. Almost 1,000 gold lead, actually.
Almost.
For GG. This mainly comes from the ganks of Samus. There's actually not that much of a difference in gold in the jungle between both junglers, because they are even in CS, and Sejuani managed to pick 2 kills as well. So it mainly comes from the assists and the farm difference.
That's a nice stun. But look at the wave, it's not where they want it to be. Sejuani is now in the bottom side. We'll get the slow, but doesn't have a lot of mana. We'll have to flash away. Aim trying to get the damage down with the silver bullets. Will they give it over to the Vayne? They will. One more auto attack will secure it. Looking for the stun here in the bottom side, as Whisper will give over the double kill to Aim.
And she managed to find the opportunity. GG, they pushed too far. Samus was topside the whole time. He's trying to do some vertical jungling, trying to counter, trying to steal some camps to Sejuani. But actually, by doing that, he's losing his early power. So I'm not quite sure of what Samus is doing right now. He seems to have his idea on his own. But what's sure is that Sejuani is actually way more proactive than he is. Even though Samus managed to get 2 ganks in the mid lane, and you can see that in the CS difference in the mid lane. He totally gave up the vision control of the bot side, so UE are able to just grab themselves this Drake because they didn't have the pressure in the bot side. And if you paid attention to the moments Sejuani came to gank, the lane was pushed. So once they got the gank, the wave just got under their tower. They could push back all the way to GG's tower, which allowed them to do the Drake.
Yeah. It gave them the bot side pressure, the objective pressure on that Drake, and they didn't actually capitalize in a CS sort of sense from the freeze that they had by their tower. It gave them double kill for the Vayne, which is really, really good. You want that on your AD carry, especially on a late game hyper carry like the Vayne, but they just didn't get the CS advantage that I kind of expected them to. They will pick up that Infernal Drake as they did a couple of minutes ago because of that priority.
And you think that GG is in the lead because of their early ganks with the Xin Zhao. But the thing is, you have a 3-2 Xin Zhao, and the rest of your team is doing, well, mid lane is doing good in CS, top lane is going even, and Vladimir outscales Urgot, sure. But on the other hand, bot lane is doing a bit terrible. Like,
not even gonna sugarcoat it, just say it's terrible.
Yeah. Vayne,
gonna go for the pop blast, and we'll get the stun down onto the Zillion. We'll use his Chrono Shift, and Riggs is there to capitalize on the kill here. Gets the stun with the Arctic Assault. We'll pick up his 3rd kill of the game. That's a nice Glacial Prison. We'll lock up 1. Looking for the follow-up. Decides to disengage. They got the SS from Colin in the middle lane. The Perrin is on his way down, so they don't want to take a 3 versus 3 at this point just yet.
A bit of miscommunication here for the Glacial Prison on Whisper. He thought they could keep going, but Karun was actually going down the river. Samus was already there as well. Nice stun from Colin there, on predicting the reactivation of the claw, of the Lissandra claw. So yeah, a bit of miscommunication. It is important for the Sejuani to keep her ultimate because it's her main ganking tool past level 6. But as they still took 1 kill on the back of it, it's still fine, and they are continuing to funnel resources into the Vayne. It's already the Skirmish's Saber on the Vayne, which is a very powerful trading tool, and she's not far from completing the BORK.
I've never heard someone just call it by its acronym, BORK. It's always Blade of the Rune King or Bork that I hear people say, so it's just a little bit.
Bork.
No, you can call it BORK if you want to. It's just unusual for me to hear someone call it the BORK. But I think it's a great point that you make, that she's so far ahead, level 7 to level 7. But the advantages that they're getting in this bottom side because of the 2 kills they have the itemization advantage. I think it's just indicative of the amount of pressure that Riggs is putting into this bottom side.
Riggs has sure been investing a lot of time. Actually, his main goal was not the bottom side, but the side where the temporary objective lies. So that's why he's been putting down some vision in the top side river. Perun might be looking for some troubles here.
Yeah, Glacial Tomb is still available, but doesn't really want to do anything to him. I think he has his passive egg available, but here comes Flicker towards the middle lane.
And also, unfortunately for Perun, he's running out of mana now.
Yeah, very little mana.
Corrupting Potion doesn't have any charges left, so he's gonna have to recall for now. Samus has been looking for an opportunity in the top side, will not find it because Perun kept just wave clearing with his spells, so he spent a lot of mana in here. Now, is the Rift Herald that's going to go down in the mid lane. Lissandra was able to TP, but it's still Lissandra all alone to defend that tower.
Samus is looking for something here. We'll get the stun down, but the stun will be returned. That's a whiffed Glacial Prison. Will be going down here. Pop Blossom comes out, will force the flash out of Samus. They got a nice charge with Shelly onto this mid lane tower, but Flicker is here to try and respond. And it will be a 2 versus 3 if they look for the engage on the side of GG, but doesn't look like they're going to get it.
When the move started, I was actually considering Xin Zhao's placements as a bit odd to come from behind, 3 to 2. But the fact that Sejuani missed the Glacial Prison, it changed everything, because then Lissandra just froze her under the tower, and they were able to get an easy kill into an easy Drake, completely uncontested, because UE had to recall, abort the move that they spent so much time setting up, getting the aroused.
Fortunately for UE, or Unknown Enemy, is that it is just a Cloud Drake that they had to give up there. The next Drake will be another Infernal Drake, so there will be a huge fight over that. I think the wind becomes lightning. I think stole away that red buff, if I have a quick look there. No, actually it did go over to Riggs there, so didn't quite have enough range or enough damage, let's say, to steal away that red buff, but it's very, very close. And once again, Riggs is towards this bottom side. He wants to rinse and repeat. He wants to keep this Twitch down. The Twitch has Berserker Greaves, has a BF sword, still building towards that Storm Razor, hasn't really adapted to the patch, it seems, or he wants to go towards his Zeal item.
Sejuani looking for a lane gank in the top side, in the bot side of the map, as we have some trading. Good pool there to dodge the Death
Plague, and that. Yeah, Fear Beyond Death was used, didn't really land onto anything. Hemoplague also used, so it's just literally just trading with their ultimates in this top side. A little bit of more health on Lizard because of his transfusion, and still in the bottom side, Sejuani's still looking for something in this bush and just try to bait them out here with the presence of aim.
Yeah, and she's starting to invest a lot of time here as
they're looking for something. Well, use the Rat-Tat-Tat, flashes forward, in comes the Pop Blossom as well as the Glacial Tomb. Will lock him up with the Glacial Prison. Whisper goes down, looking for more as the Vayne will be going down to Perun. Keeps connecting with all of these skill shots as Riggs is looking just to buy time for his support to get out. That's a double kill for Perun. Looking for it to get out. He will with the Glacial Path, and Riggs is forced to back away.
This is a real feels bad for UE, because Sejuani just invested so much time bot lane to get something out of that, to get her Vayne in front, but the move ended up terribly, because Vayne died, Sejuani got the kill, and now it's 2 kills on a. They traded 1 for 2. The Lissandra got fed. Now she's gonna go back mid. She has the Proto Belts that she's been sitting for the past 4 minutes. But now she has those Mercury Trees. She has the Lost Chapter that's gonna give her so much mana sustain in lane. With the Lost Chapter, she will be able to hold the Anivia in terms of wave clear without running out of mana. So Samus might start to look to play around his Lissandra, as 2 members of GG are going down mid lane right now. We'll be spotted by Riggs in the jungle.
Yeah, here's the engage. We'll get the W to lock him up. Use the wind becomes lightning, and Samus will pick up that kill. And Colin couldn't do anything to try and help his jungler out. He just got caught out in his own jungle. Superior vision, perhaps, because we haven't really looked at the vision control just yet. However, it should be stated that UE are coming into this as the underdogs, because they're coming in off of a 1-1 stat track so far, and GG are coming in at 2-0 and just trading all over the map.
Yeah, Xin Zhao still looking for an opportunity in the outside of the map. Well clean, control well placed in the tree bush. So you were speaking of vision just a moment earlier. Let's take a look at the state of the map right now, because you can see that bottom lane, the vision was placed very defensively from UE, because their control ward is in the bush behind that their tier 1 turret. And Nico's not gonna find someone to Nico onto.
Is it a verb now?
Yeah, she's using her own name as a verb.
I
anyway.
Nico, you Nico, he, she, we Nico.
Yeah, she's like a Pokemon, you know, or Smurf.
Okay.
That's how I see her, actually. And yeah, so I was talking about the vision. In the top side of the map, GG's vision faded away, but just a few minutes before, you could see actually that GG had vision on the top side of the enemy top side of the map, and the other way around. So this shows you how these two top laners just want to farm in a safe way. Just wait for their team to actually do some moves. And
Glacial Prison lands on the bottom side, and he's just being torn through at this point, forced to use his ultimate. We'll go down to half health here, gonna peace out, gets to engage, but in comes Lizard as well. It's the battle of all of the members of GG in the bottom side. Pop Blossom isn't gonna do a damn thing. And that's 3 kills coming through for Glorious Gaming. They're gonna get the second tower of the game in this bottom side. It will be their first tower of the game. Gonna try and trade one back demo in this top side, but Infernal Drake is also the objective.
And now the Vladimir, who is very inactive, hold on.
Just gonna be walled up by the Crystallize. A couple more hits will take him out, but he doesn't really mind. He picks up an Infernal Drake, equalize the Infernal Drakes from team to team, and that will help out the Twitch a little bit, but it feels a little bit bad for Whisper in this game. He's 0-4. He's just waiting for these item power spikes. Blade of the Rune King picked up by AIM. He doesn't even have his first Zeal item picked up just yet. He has that Zeal, Berserker Greaves, BF Sword. He's not hitting these power spikes.
Yeah, he sure feels bad for Whisper, because, you know, sometimes when you're fighting and you're in the middle of a fierce fight, just what happened bot lane earlier, you lose track of the rotations on the map, and because the Anivia was so late to rotate. Once the fight was done, GG, they were like, okay, so now we're gonna reset and grab the Drake. And Whisper thought he could take some additional farm in the bot lane, but he forgot about the Anivia that went missing in the mid lane during the fight. So he ended up getting caught there, giving one more kill to the Anivia. But he's 0-4 now, so he's not worth a full kill yet, as members of
comes
GG
the
are
collapse. There's
gathering
4 of them in this top side. Use the camouflage. We'll get the double bomb for the stun. And Demo is going to be in a bit of trouble here. We'll be able to flash out. In comes the rest of UE. Looking for it to follow up. Maybe even collapse on them. Whisper has to try and get through that little gap between the walls. When it becomes lightning, will be thrown out to try and get slowed down. Won't connect onto anyone. And nothing is found for either team in this top side.
So Baron is available. GG has been trying to do a catch onto Urgot so they could pressure onto the Baron. Now is the bot lane that was pushing in favor of GG. They are all 10 players are in the top side of the map, so it's going to be a vision fight now. And GG have so much pressure because the Vladimir is fed, the Lissandra is fed. You cannot face check a bush safely anymore, because if a glacial claw...
A glacial prison gets thrown down, one bomb will connect, looking for the second, will find the stun onto 2 members of UE. Pop Blossom with the flash, will not connect onto anyone, still looking for the follow-up, gets a stun, nice stun onto the Vladimir, still looking for more, gets a stun onto Samus. Throws out the rat-a-tat-tat, that's 1 kill. Looking for a second, comes through for Lizard. Looking for a third, onto Colin. We'll get the egg instead. Looney gonna try and get away. We'll get the rampage for Perun. That's a double kill coming through for Lizard. That's a 4 for nothing, and they can do the Baron.
Now GG's gonna grab themselves a free Baron after a very good fight. When Sejuani got the glacial prison out, the target that was caught, which was the Xinjiao, was too far away from the rest of the team to have any reliable follow-up onto the target. And because UE overextended, they went super aggressive on that call, even if it was not an actual engage. They ran towards GG members, and they invested so much in the chase that at some point they arrived into a vision clog, the top lane trebush, and then Perun and Whisper were just able to turn around and blast them with AoE damage because they were all packed in this small space, and that's how they won the team fight so hard.
That's exactly what you don't want to do against a Twitch. You don't group up into a nice small chunk for him just to get his ultimate down and just tear through everyone. That's what we said in Champion Selector. Here comes another engage, forced to use the cleanse and the flash to get away on the side of Colin. We'll get the stun up onto Perun, but looking to get away, we'll have to flash himself. Out comes the Glacial Storm just to clear the way of his aim, gets a little bit of damage traded back. Nothing goes over to the side of GG, but UE don't give up anything of their own.
Now, we've seen Vayne dealing a couple of auto attacks onto the Sejuani. I want to talk about the gold lead, the actual gold lead. Because even though Vayne has one kill over the Twitch, she has 1k gold deficits compared to the Twitch, who was doing super bad in the early game. And Vayne was the initial member of UE that Sejuani wanted to get in front, to get an advantage on.
Yeah.
Now UE's game plan has fallen apart because Twitch is now more fed than the Vayne is. The Vladimir is online, so Urgot cannot do much. Lissandra is online as well. You are if you are UE, you are waiting for the Anivia to come online. You are waiting for the Vayne to get more than one item before being able to contest any objective. Even though Riggs did a really good job at getting objective control in the early game, all of this work won't be helping UE much in the late game because of the pressure they lost through the mid game.
Well, looking for it to get a kill on the bottom side. Didn't use the Fear Beyond Death. Will he connect with it now? Will go awry, and in comes Perun as well. Gonna trade the kill back instead. Lizard will be the target now, but the double bombs will land, and that will be the Sejuani going down. We'll use the Glacial Path. Won't decide to take it any further here, but look at the Zijao. He's pushing into the base. He took an inhib tower. He's taking the inhib all on his own. Will be forced to respond to this bottom side push as Colin is going to be chased down here by Perun, looking for something crystallized. Will buy him a little bit of time. Aim is going to be taken out. Use the Condemn to knock him away. We'll have to use his heal and flash to get out of there safely. Now on the bottom side, their base is just being torn through. And
this is going to be the last stand.
He's going very ham here. Will pop the final hour. Will be shut down. Shut down gold. Too little, too late. One would have to assume goes over to aim. They pick up one inhib. They pick up an inhib tower. They got a piece out here. No neutral objectives on the map just yet. Not for another couple of minutes. But you were saying you have to wait for Colin on this Anivia to come online. If we check in at the 26-minute mark, there's 3 items on Perun on this Lissandra, 3 items on Lizard on the Vladimir. Almost 3 items, 2.5 items for the Twitch as well. Yes, you have a Blade of the Rune King and a Rage Blade for your Vayne, but if he gets stunned up by anything, he's just going to be taken out. You're left just with Colin and maybe a little bit of Demo to deal the damage, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough.
Yeah, you need at least one more item for the Vayne to do anything. You need maybe the new Phantom Dancer. that could actually go well.
Gonna fight a pick here, we'll get the stun, but he has his Chrono Shift to stay alive. Whisper is there, has the Rat-Tat-Tat available, goes golden just to buy a little bit more time. It comes
Look
the rest
out
of the
for
team, will use the flash to get away, gets one bomb, looking for the second, will empower his movement speed, but in comes Lizard over the wall. He's gonna take them on 1 versus 3, and he's winning, gets 1 kill, gonna trade some health back. Riggs is now gonna have to peace out. Wind becomes lightning, doesn't have enough damage, but Lizard picks up a double kill, and all of the members of the side of UE are just being torn through, and they're gonna connect with the second tier tower. They're looking for to push, they're looking for to finish the game. Demo in a lot of trouble, will get the stun, use the cleanse, flash in by Perun, looking to get the passive, will get the passive. It's gonna be made into an omelet as eggs are served up for dinner. Demo has to flash away, looking for the follow-up with the glacial path, gonna trade some damage back. Blue turret will go down in the middle lane. Demo 1 versus the world, he will be taken out for the ace. Whisper takes him out, and they're gonna end the game right here, right now, going for their 3rd win in a row.
It started very good for UE, but unfortunately for them, the individual talent of the solo lanes, of the bot lane, managed to overcome
aim on the backside, we'll use Final Hour, but Xinjiao just gonna finish the game here. We'll pad the KDA stats, 1 to get another kill. Vayne will pick up a kill there. He will shut down the Lissandra as well, but too little, too late. 1 more hit will do it. That will be the game in favor of Glorious Gaming.
Glorious Gaming did a really good job here. Individual talents was enough for them to overcome the early game deficit they had first when the game started. Samus did a really good job on the Xinjiao, even though the Camille was banned. On the final fight in the mid lane, he managed to solo kill aim on the side of the fight. This we didn't see actually on the spectator. And shout out to Perun and Lizard. Lizard has been doing a really good job on the Vladimir because he just did basically what you expect from Vladimir, right? He's been farming the whole early game. Mid game, he let down a bunch of teleports, get some kills by roaming, and then he just kept going in, flashed through the wall, got into the backline, and basically blasted Colin and Looney. So that's how individual talent makes the difference, because you can farm better, because you have better vision control than your opponents. You can use it to find better team fights than what your opponent do. Even if Sejuani allowed for catches from afar with the Glacial Prison, there was not enough follow-up in UE's composition to actually get a kill of that Glacial Prison. So every time you saw Sejuani going in, it ended up super bad for UE, because even if they managed to kill the initial targets, there was a zillion behind to set down the Chrono Shift.
Yeah, so, it wasn't really a composition. It felt more like a solo queue composition coming out from UE. You have the Urgot, which is kind of the king of the top lane, as it were, on this patch and the last few patches, so that's fine. Sejuani also really good. And Nivea, decent as well once she gets 3 or 4 items, but the support, it's not exactly a meta support. You don't really see Nico in that support position. It didn't really do a huge amount. The Pop Blossoms they were there, but they just weren't hitting. The Vayne, she had 2 items, and that's it. Couldn't really get much more out of that. So I think maybe if you switched up the Vayne and the Nico pick to something a little bit more meta, something more competitive, in solo queue it could work fine because you can snowball. But when you have the communication between the team in a 5-man unit, it's going to be hard to get that Vayne rolling. You need 3 items minimum, 4, 5, even 6 items for the Vayne to start to actually tear through the lineup. And against something that has so much engage, so much burst, and so much CC coming out from the side of Glorious Gaming, it's not something that you really want to see a Vayne played into.
Yep. I cannot help but agree. As speaking of CC, Lissandra, to me, is the player of the game here.
5-1
and 12. She kept roaming in the mid game, get those assists, she got the game moving. She was proactive. She played with Samus in the jungle. We saw her catch Sejuani. We saw her roam down bots, get those 4-man bots working. She also has 280 CS, which is super good considering.
Really?
Considering it's a 28-minute game, and you're facing an Anivia, who is one of the best wave clearing mid laner in the game. Well, not in the early, but mid
and late.
Yeah, mid and late. She's just blasting the waves with 2 keys. So top farm, 10 CS per minute. Huge performance from Peru.
Yeah, I'll agree with it. Lissandra was really good, even though the KDAs are a bit better on Lizard and Samus. I don't think that's indicative of the amount of work that they put into the game. Samus did really well, and so did Lizard, and props to the entire GG team. But I have to agree, Perrin, it was just, there was a lot more utility, a lot more roam. I think he had a much larger impact on the game than the KDA would have you believe. 5-1 and 12, he did superbly well, and that CS is just almost immaculate. It's actually quite beautiful to look at. So that will be our MVP for UE versus GG, or Unknown Enemy versus Glorious Gaming. And they are bringing Gloria to us all, let's say, after that, because they are 3-0 now, coming out of week 2. So we'll be back in just a few short minutes. It will be around 8 o'clock CET, or if you are along the island of Ireland or the UK, it will be at 7 o'clock. So we'll be back in about 8 or 9 minutes. That will be it from myself and Sherlock. Thank you very much for watching us. We'll leave you in the capable hands of our other resident casters. That will be Casca and CJ. So thank you very much for watching. We'll be back in a few short minutes.
Yep.
Unsettling, now I can breathe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back after the break to our second game of the day between Prototype and Seadogs. I'm Kachka, and I'm joined today by CJ.
Dude, I am pumped up by this intro, dude. I love your energy coming in here. You're
Well,
hyped, I'm hyped, we're ready to go.
Oh yeah, this match is definitely going to be hyped. I'm also hyped to know first match on SQ1 casting, and this hopefully is going to be a very good one. So let's dive maybe more into that match. Both teams are coming right off a loss, so I'm really looking forward to how they will be able to just play this game and, you know, come back from it.
Yeah, I think that while both teams have come off a loss, both teams are also coming from very different scores off week one. SDS did just go down to Team Alpha, and Prototype went down to Free Krug. So both fairly mid-range teams. SDS did have quite a competitive match though against Alpha, keeping it pretty even all the way up into the mid-game. Though then a couple of bad fights just kind of strung together a disadvantage they couldn't quite come back. So they definitely had good points in there, and we know they're a strong team. They had that 2-0 record coming into this week. Now it's down to 2-1, and they'll be looking to pull that onto 3-1 to keep them in the top side of the standings, whereas Prototype have been having a much rougher start to this split. They are 0-2 coming into this this week, and they are, I believe, 0-3 now coming into this match. So they've got a lot to prove, a big uphill battle against them, and SDS is not going to be an easy opponent for them today.
Definitely not, and let's actually take a look at what we could be expecting, because patch 9.3 has dropped in today. Many changes to the crit items, and I believe that our boys before us have roughly touched on it, but I think we can also go over what basically has been changed.
Yeah, so the main changes that we've seen are to Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge as kind of your main damage items. They're now both kind of reverted back to that first item possibility, whereas before it was basically just Stormrazor Rush on everybody, and apart from maybe your Blade of the Ruin King abusers, I suppose. But the changes back to IE, so it now gives crit at 25% again, gives 80 AD, and it changes your crit damage as opposed to doing that conversion to true damage that it had before. So I think it's a lot more viable, and it makes picks like Caitlyn, which we've seen on this patch, and I'm expecting to see pop up at least a few more times this week and next week while it's still live. And then things like Tristana, we saw in SDS's game, they were playing Tristana, didn't have a huge amount of success on it, but it's definitely a viable pick now. And even more kind of outside swings like Jhin, who maybe usually had to rely on a lethality build, or their crit build just wasn't getting enough value as compared to other picks. I think we have a lot of possibility to see a lot more picks here in the ADC role specifically, and I'm very excited about that as we get into Champ Select right now.
We do, and the first ban for the side of Seadogs will be that Kled, and Prototype deciding to remove the Thresh, and now the Vayne ban also coming in for the Seadogs. 30 standard, Kled I believe is played by the top laner Supernova. Thresh was played by Mamul in his previous game, so these bans so far do make a
Yes, and the Vayne ban is also something I'm not surprised to see at all. We have a lot of proficient Vayne players in this league. Vayne obviously in a very strong place right now. Despite the changes to items, I think all that's really done is, if anything, just give her more build options and more ways to itemize depending on how the game is going for you. And while she's still in such a strong position, I think we would be undoubtedly seeing her if she had not been banned away though. So I think it is a good takeaway from Seadogs, as is the Seadogs. Definitely a very strong jungler. Both teams' junglers tend to favor similar champions, and Prototype have seen what little success they have seen. Back in the qualifiers, they did obviously pick up some wins. They qualified to this league fair and square, but their Seadogs on the jungler was one of the strongest points for them, so I like them taking away that.
And the Ergot will be the first pick, a very strong top laner now that others are kind of nerfed, so it's a first pick, wasn't banned, just easily taken away by the C.
Yeah, pretty much the Aatrox got nerfed down, the Akali got nerfed down, Aurelia got nerfed down, leaving Urgot as pretty much that solo rock in the top lane. He is pretty much good into any matchup. He's got teamfight presence, he's got split pushing, he's got summon. You can take the summoner spellbook to get multiple summoner spell use. You can get the smite in there, the ghost, the exhaust. He's just got everything right now. Nobody can touch this boy in the top lane. So definitely a strong first pick. And then from the side of Prototype, we do see the Jarvan going onto that jungle. So similar style to what we saw before. I like this pickup. It's playing to his strength. And I think that he will be able to get some work done on this champion. That is going to be joined by a Morgana support for the side of Prototype. Pretty much the only commonly seen mage support right now. It's mostly tanks, your Threshes, which of course is banned away, Brahms and Alistairs, but Morgana, the binding, I think, is just one of these eternally relevant skills, and I think that anyone can get good value out of that pick there.
And the Black Shield as well to deny all that sort of the engage to talk about. In the meantime, the side of Seadogs, they're locking themselves the Ezreal and Karma. Karma could be flexed around, but Ezreal, I'm pretty sure it will be in that AD carry position. A pretty safe ADC, as now Prototype, a Caitlyn Morgana lane. And I believe we talked about the potential of Caitlyn coming back into the meta, and with a Morgana, we all know what that lane loves to do.
Yeah, Seadogs clearly heard my analysis there and chucked it right out the window. They picked that Enchanter support. Ezreal Karma is very much a classic lane combination. Maybe last season, even before the Ezreal Karma changes, it's one of these really strong poke lanes that can actually get a surprising amount of damage done. However, Prototype picking up that Caitlyn Morgana, I think they have just as much possibility to do that with more options as to CC. They've got more strength in lane, getting that binding into the trap combo from the Morgana and Caitlyn is such a strong tool for killing your opponents, especially if they have a squishy support. So I really do like this Caitlyn Morgana pickup. I think it's pretty much a lane without any weaknesses at this stage, and I'm excited to see what the bot lane from Prototype to do here. They're clearly looking to actually pressure this lane, I think, and they want to get an advantage. They don't just want to sit back and wait. They want to actually do something proactive, which I like.
And Prototype so far, if they haven't really gotten those leads in the lanes, they have been struggling in those matches. So if they manage to get their bot lane ahead and actually build up some sort of significant lead, which is also where I'm looking at potentially Criminal Boy on that Jarvan, that is a very solid potential win condition for the side of Prototype. Of course, we will have to wait for the last two picks as the second phase bans are completed. Lee Sin and Corki taken away by Prototype, and Talon as well as Cyan taken away by Seadogs.
I think these are much more targeted bans overall. The first rounds of 3 were relatively meta-based, but we see the Lee Sin, which is a classic Muppet champion for jungle. He's performed very well on that so far, and it's a good takeaway from them, and also the Corki come away from Prototype. It's interesting to note that Prototype's last game against Free Krugs, the enemy mid laners played Corki and went, I think it was 9-0-4 in that champion, so it feels like a little bit of a salty ban in the mid lane, but definitely one that is not unwarranted. I think Corki is a bit of a sleeper pick right now. He's kind of slowly creeping back into the meta, and obviously we can see that Free Krugs made a lot of use out of him against Prototype in the last game. They will actually pick up the Lissandra in the mid lane, so that's not surprising to me at all. It's been pretty much ever present in League as a game, as an entire concept for the past couple of weeks. It's just see it in every game, pick band. It was nerfed a little bit, but I think it's still very viable. A lot of good use out of that champion offensively and defensively, and that is going to be matched up against OG Wheatfish's Zoe. I have seen this person play Zoe a lot. It's a pick that I think he is very good at, and I think it's one that can actually do alright into the Lissandra as long as you get your vision down and you don't get punished by Jarvan ganks, because the CC chain that Lissandra and Jarvan can pull together, really scary for Zoe.
It definitely is, and that is one thing that we will have to look towards, as the picks that have gone down in the meantime is Muppet will be sitting on a Xin Zhao, an early aggressive jungler, and Supernova locks himself that Cho'Gath in the top lane, a tank that, well, he's just saying, I don't think I'm really going to beat Urgot, so why not just pick something that can survive the lane and do well in the team.
Yeah, I think that the Cho'Gath is very interesting. It's not a pick we've seen for a long time, so I'm not actually 100% certain how this matchup is going to go. It's not one that there's a lot of data on, so I think that Super 611 Nova could pull out a clutch thing here. He could kind of abuse the fact that Tenente Manito maybe doesn't know the matchup as well, not as used to playing it, especially if Cho'Gath chooses to itemize more AP than he's expecting, kind of get that surprise kill with the ultimate. Though, of course, Urgot is another one with an execute-based ultimate, so I think this could be a tight one. The junglers will undoubtedly be very important in this. And I think that if we just look at the team comps, how they're stacking up here now that we've got them all completed, we have Prototype who's gone. They're playing very much to type. They've gone for a team-fighting team with tank line, CC options. I guess we could call Caitlyn a hyper carry, AD carry, or at least moving back into that area now with the crit item changes. I think she is going to move into that space, and then a kind of utility plus damage mage. So they've gone very much as expected, whereas the side of Seadogs is a bit more volatile. There's a bit more, maybe a bit more skill expression in terms of how they play the fights. It's not quite as easy as just kind of 2 tanks run in followed by a a carry with a support standing next to them. I think there's a lot more mobility in there. Zoe, of course, is an incredibly volatile influence on any game with the summoners and like the redemption pickups, that kind of thing. So I'm interested to see how this matches up. I think SDS feel like they can take it to Prototype in the lanes. That's why they've picked maybe stronger lane bully matchups. And I think that this is a good way to go for them, because if I had to pick one weakness for Prototype so far that could be holding them back so far, is that they struggle to get to the late game where their team fighting is actually reasonably good. I've seen them play some very good team fights with these comps, but if they go behind, they struggle to come back and get that goal to even and get a team fight they're actually allowed to win. So I think that SDS wanting to take it to them, take the fight to them in lane, and pressure them out and get that advantage and snowball it is a good call by them here.
What they also have very good for the side of Seadogs is their mid game. If they get ahead in lanes, as you said, they've got that potential to bully Prototype out. Muppet is on lanes in Zhao, a jungler that has a lot of early game impact. They have a lot of range and a pretty good mid game spike. Ezreal on 2 items, we all know this story. He's insanely strong. Zoe, if she gets ahead, is a nightmare to play against. So I am personally looking at Seadogs in the early game, and especially if Muppet himself can influence any of the lanes that he wants to get the kills, get the leads, or just pretty much starve out this side of Prototype, because as you said, they could be struggling if they fall behind, and that is so far what we have seen from them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that both mid laners have gone cleanse here. I do think it's the right call, especially from the Zoe, given her innate lack of mobility and a lot more CC options coming out from the side of Prototype. But it looks like Yariat on this Lissandra has taken cleanse as well against a team with not that many hard CC options. It's basically just an anti-Sleepy Trouble Bubble button. So definitely playing to keep in this lane, which is it's something that's really not going to get as much use the later and later we go into the game, as Lissandra is often more likely looking for a flank, kind of not in your face, not obviously in vision when you're squaring up for these team fights in lanes, where the Zoe is more likely going to be throwing stuff out, looking for the Caitlyn maybe, or for the Jarvan stepping too far up, looking for an engage. So I do want to see Yariat and Criminal Boy 95 trying to get some sort of advantage in this mid lane early on. I think this is where they have the best chance to do so, is in punishing this mid lane, because something like Ezreal Karma, it's very hard to lock them down, even with the Morgana Caitlyn. They've got a lot of ability. So I think that is what I would like to see and Yariat going into this lane. Obviously the Black Shield from Morgana obviously helps a lot into the mid and late game against that Sleepy Trouble Bubble. So we'll have to see how that one plays out for them.
Definitely many different win conditions for these teams, but I think the recurring theme that I will emphasize once again is those junglers, which is something that I personally love talking about, because it's always just interesting to see which lane do they prioritize, why, what are the possibilities, and how actually the laners themselves influence that.
See, we've still got the Xin Zhao going for the Halo Blades there. Everyone else's summoner choice is normal. Crabgot does have that summoner's spellbook, so looking to maybe catch some people out on these fights. I do like the fact that SDS have all synchronized their icons. Definitely some high team synergy going on there. A little bit more chaotic on the side of Prototype, so I'm sure that's definitely a sign of what's to come.
Yeah, I mean the icon victory is already there for Seadogs. I don't think you can deny the evidence. It's laid out in front of you. You know, better team synergy. I mean, you know, hopefully it does translate, and hopefully also Prototype actually the icons don't mean anything. Because yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. SCS have also won the skin war as well, dude. They're laying out. They've got all of this groundwork done. They're clearly ready to go. You know, they've invested in the game, as you can see. The wallets have been out.
Yeah, they have invested time, effort, money, and poured out blood and tears in order to get into this match. And I think we'll be getting into the game in just a few seconds. We are waiting for it to load at this current point. Oh, we are now in.
Something that's interesting to see, actually, is the Caitlyn has gone teleport. So maybe it's a match by the Ezreal, but obviously on the Ezreal AD common, it's been like that way for a little while, because he kind of wants to get that early back, get a tier, and then use the teleport to avoid losing that much advantage in lane, and then he can also translate that into the mid game too. But Caitlyn with teleport is a little less common, I think. Normally they would take the heal as standard, because something like, you know, Caitlyn Morgana maybe tends to be looking more for kills just because they have such a good setup for doing so. So it's interesting to see if there's going to be any value actually gotten out of this teleport, and if they instead go for a shove in all day, just get vision down, try and push in the Caitlyn and Karma, who admittedly don't have the best wave clear, and instead of going for kills, maybe they just try and grow a massive CS lead and accelerate into that mid-game spike. Especially now that we have these new crit items, as we were talking about, we'll have to see how much value they can get out of going there. And to start off this game, we are going to go into pretty basic vision lines. Nothing exciting here. The Morgana definitely has the potential to be effective at level 1, but these guys are going to take it easy. And that seems to be playing into what we've seen from these teams so far. They're definitely ones that aren't the crazy level 1 artists.
Yeah, just waiting to ward that pixel brush and make sure to give your jungler the vision superiority around the Skyward, or also just knowing what the other jungler is up to does help you a lot with planning your pathing. It does seem like Criminal Boy will start up towards his red buff, so will the Muppet. So both junglers starting on the red buffs. Nothing too crazy coming in at the level 1 just yet. And looks like we could be seeing one of these slower starts, unless obviously Muppet decides to go for some early ganks. So.
And we can actually see here that the bot lane from Prototype they've not waited to give any kind of illusion that Jarvan was maybe at blue. They've gone straight for that, they've gone beeline for it to get it shoved in. I think they are going to be going for this pushing in style. They're going to get that early level 2, which we'll have to watch out. Definitely a very strong spike for them, because you can have the trap and the Q from the Caitlyn, plus that binding is a really strong level 2 combo. But yeah, these guys, they want to exert pressure in this lane. They don't want to sit around and take it easy. They want to get some stuff done early on here.
And they are pushing in, but Muppet is on that Xin Zhao, coming now behind the wall. The binding connects onto Mamul. He's now coming in for that gang. All summoners are still available. Jungle Victim will have to flash away now. Flash fall up. There is the knockup from Muppet. A good binding will prevent the death. Flash forward from Philister. Gets the first blood with a note.
Instantly punished for that strategy of getting shoved up. We saw them get Mammal to below, basically to 1 bar of health. And there's actually a large fight going on top lane here.
Supernova will be able to make it out in the end. No summoners, no major cooldowns blown for either of these top lanes.
They are going to work. So Mammal got chunked to almost nothing at level 1 by this bot lane combination, and they almost had that kill. They maybe could have forced them and got an ignite, but Muppet was there exactly when he needed to be, and got both the summoners. They got the kill for that Ezreal. Super good for him. It's going to accelerate him towards that tier really quickly. So I liked the idea from the side of PRT. I think it was good to start abusing that range matchup and just kind of get that advantage rolling, but Muppet was not going to give them a single chance to do that.
Yeah, and right now Criminal Boy, he's moving up towards that top side. Tenente Mondizo has got that flash available. He will get knocked up though. Still holding on to that cooldown, will not burn it, and Supernova gets himself 1 on the board.
That was a clean executed gank there. Got shoved up with no ward. Supernova lands that Q, gets the silence, and I think definitely the correct call by Tenente Mondizo, holding that flash. Nothing he could do there. He's going to TP in. Not too much lost overall, though the CS advantage and that kill goad has gone over to Cho'Gath. So another good start for them, answering back from the side of Prototype. They are not just going to sit back and watch Muppet do his work.
They definitely won, and that kill for Supernova will help him just as much as it will help Philister in that bot lane. So both junglers snowballing the opposite sides of the map. The time will only show which is more worth. So far, actually, an early Sheen will give a pretty nice damage spike towards that bot lane, but Jungle Difference Victim and Mechna, they are just shoving in the wave once again.
That is really interesting to me that he's gone for that Sheen straight away. He's going for actual lane power super early. He's not going for that tier. He's not going for that mid-game spike. He is going for damage right now, and we'll have to see if they can actually exert any of this pressure, because this is a definitely large advantage. He's kept the TP as well. So he is a little bit down in CS. The wave is pushed in towards him, so he's not going to lose out too much, but it means he keeps that TP possibility if he ends up getting shoved in later on, and we'll have to see, like I say, if he can get some of this damage off, because we see the warding from the side of PRT is comprehensive at this point. They are not going to get caught out by that joke twice.
Definitely not. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I think that is how it works. As the poke in the bot. Yeah, it is coming through that binding into the snap trap. a very good tool to exert pressure on their tower, and we have a CSD developing as a result. And I mean, it is now on Muppet to try and put pressure down in that bot lane or even any other line and draw away some of that bot side advantages to just not allow Philister and Mamo to fall behind even further.
Yeah, it looks like this team of PRT are converging around this Drake. They're getting good vision down, looking for that crab as well. Maybe looking to get an early one secured here. Even the bot lane has rotated away to try and do some vision clearing out. We'll have to see if they want to take this one. Not a huge amount of advantage to play off here. Zoe has this lane pushed up in the mid lane. Sandra can't really wait, otherwise he'll lose even more CS, and you want to get to that level 6 as fast as possible. Zoe coming down actually to maybe challenge this Jarvan in the river now that she has hit that level 6.
Yeah, there is the potential from Wheatfish, but he will not commit into any major...
Level 6 Urgot.
Yeah, it is a level 6 Ergot, and there is the Fear Beyond Death. Tenente Monito is solo killing Supernova up in the top.
So that is really impressive actually, that Tenente Monito, despite having the lane pushed in and then dying, having to TP back, still managed to stay ahead on XP from the Cho'Gath, who has used his TP already to come back into lane. So he knows, he identifies, he has that level 6, he knows he can take a fight, doesn't even use his flash for it as well. So Cho'Gath had him pushed in and then had to burn his flash, didn't even have 6 yet already, and then the Urgot ult secures that kill, gets him right back in this lane, CS and gold firmly in his corner, and I think this is where the Urgot wants to be. This Cho'Gath pick, so far, despite getting the early lead, it's not able to translate it into anything more so far. Muppet giving himself away there, unfortunately.
Yeah, Muppet just trying for a gang. Unfortunately, stepping out of vision at possibly the worst time possible means that the bot lane from Prototype will be able to make it out, and as you said, Tenente Monito in that top lane on the Ergo now getting the kill, has got the Phage. This could be the point where if Prototype do not do anything, that top lane will just run away with the lead and snowball the entire game unless checked.
Yeah, and Ezreal, we saw Jungle Diff victim did get pretty low on that Caitlyn, so he was able to actually get that damage down using the Sheen, and now has the CS advantage, so he still has that TP too. So this pick has worked out for Ezreal. They have managed to actually secure that advantage in that bot lane, unlike the top lane that we saw the Cho'Gath get counter-ganked and lose that pressure. So I'm now waiting to see what Criminal Boy 95 does. Muppet has been around, we've seen him in the bot lane twice now already. Criminal Boy has had a nice clean gank off in the mid lane. I want to see him come to this mid lane. We've got level 6, level 7 even on Lysandra, and we need to start burning these summoners on Wheatfish because he is getting that CS lead and he is going to be an absolute monster on the Zoe late game if I know him.
Definitely, and whenever you have a cleanse on an enemy mid laner, it always takes at least 2 ganks to get the kill, because first you need to burn through the summoners, then only you can get the kill. And 8 minutes into the game, Criminal Boy hasn't attempted to gank the mid lane once, which, well, he still has got time, but as you said, Wheatfish in that late game on Zoe will be a big threat. So there is some sort of a timer for Prototype right now, and more specifically for their jungler.
Yeah, all of the lane CS now advantage going in the favor of SDS. They're very comfortable lanes. They are going to have to try and take the fight to Prototype before long as well. I think both teams do have somewhat of a timer in this game. When it comes to scaling, it's quite hard to pick them apart. Both teams have definite options for damage in the late game, but PRT is, I think, definitely easier to execute when you reach that late game state because they have so many more options for starting a fight. And now we see Muppet coming top.
He is coming in that top lane. There is the Crescent Guard to knock away Supernova. No flash for the Cho'Gath. I mean, he is just going to get run down and pulled back in by Tenente's Fear Beyond Death. And the second kill going in favor of the...
That's another clean kill picked up by Muppet. Looks like PRT are going to rotate to this Dragon to try and get something back here. A lot of turret plates are going to fall in that top lane though. More money into Tenente's pocket. He's swapped to that Ignite we can see with that spellbook. He knows he's got the advantage. That's going to swing it even more in his favor. Ezreal coming through. Decent damage and Karma trying to steal it away too, but the Smite should be able to do this no problem.
The side of Prototype, they get the Jake, they get away, but as you mentioned, many playthings now, the second one falling in the top lane gives a good gold spike for the side of Seadogs, and not only under 10 minutes in the game, they already have secured an over 2,000 gold lead, which, if what we said in the Champion Select is true, it will be even harder as we are nearing this mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, Mountain Drake's all very well, but if you never get a chance to hit a tower, it's not going to do an awful lot for you, and it looks like SDS want to pressure in every lane now. They've got everything shoved up. Surprisingly, this Caitlyn Morgana are the ones being pushed into their turret by the Ezreal Karma. So I think these guys, they're really struggling against this lane now. Ezreal's picked up that tier. He's got that scaling going on. Oh, nice binding there.
It will connect onto Mammal, however, Jungle Difference Victim was too far away to connect with that trap, meaning that Mammal just gets away relatively unscathed. And it is true, the Caitlyn Morgana lane are getting pushed in now that Philister actually has got those 2 items you mentioned. The poke in that bottom becomes just slightly too much, as we could be seeing a 4-man collapse. The CP Char bubble already came out, and they retreat under the tower.
It was very close there. Mechna using the Black Shield to walk over that bubble and absorb it. The Karma Q not coming in quite early enough to burst the shield. That would have been very unfortunate. Oh, that one lands though. See if there's any more poke going down here.
Mammal will connect without the inner fill. I mean, there is the true shot barrage. Mechna has to use the stopwatch already. Jungle Difference Victim flashes away. Muppet is going to donate the kill over to his AD carry. That is the support from Prototype down. And Seadogs, they are looking to pressure this start with at least 3.
Very generous from Muppet there, giving it away to that Ezreal, getting him towards that 2-item spike that you were talking about earlier as soon as possible. I like it. Obviously, it's definitely good value for him to take it as well, but I think he's already shown that he can get value off this Xin pick. He doesn't need to take the kills, he is just setting up, he's going to the lanes where he's got an advantage, and he's getting a lot out of them here. Meanwhile, PRT, once again, when they see Muppet gank one side, they rotate to the objective on the other side. It's very good kind of flowchart play, so they're not letting this go for free. Urgot might want to challenge though, with the Zoe from Wheatfish coming up behind.
Tenente is trying to challenge, but he is knocked up. There is the Core Cataclysm is used as well, and the Urgot is stand up, cat down, actually uses the stopwatch. He might just survive, flashes away. Yariat, can he catch him? Tenente might just get out. Where is the Glacial Path? 6 seconds. I don't think Yariat has got it. There is the Fury, he flashes forward, and the shot does look like Criminal Way strangling. There is the Fury on that. Oh, what a shutdown from Criminal Way, just saves his mid laner. Barely. Wheatfish has to flash away. He picks up yet another one. He's trying to kite back Criminal Boy. Very low, flags and drags away. Flash right from Wheatfish. He goes in with a portal jump. He does not quite connect with that CP trouble as well as the Paddle Star. Here comes Muppet. Can he pick up the kills? Teleport is coming up in the backside as well. Flag and drag away from Criminal. Vecna uses the Black Shield himself as well as the binding. Meanwhile, Yariat and Philister, they're training up in that river. Yariat is dropping low. He's just picking up the fruits, but it's not enough. The Mystic Shot from Philister seals the deal, and complete madness in the river.
Oh my goodness, that was a fight of absolute millimeters. The Urgot living away, the perfect stopwatch, and then flashing away. It looks like kind of PRT semi-disengaged. They're like, oh, he's got this. Lissandra can wrap this one up, but then the flash away, and Lissandra can't get the range. Not enough mana to E after and kill him. And then the shield's coming on just to save him just in time. The Urgot ult doesn't quite activate because he gets shot down. My goodness, dude, that could have gone about 8 different ways, that fight. And the one it went was definitely in SDS's favor here.
Definitely, they get the pressure across the map once again, even furthering their goal lead to now 3,500. If you take a quick look at the items, Ezreal already completed that mana mune, will be stacking up towards that mirror mana sooner rather than later. And Jungle Difference Victim, he has only the BS sword and some minor components, so the item leads are there for Seadogs, and as we are reaching slowly towards that 14th minute, they will be looking strong.
Yeah, and Lissandra, we have to remember, did pick up that Rift Herald, so it wasn't completely for nothing. They do have that potential advantage if they can actually find a kill or a gank in this lane. Laning is still fairly normal. They've only lost the one tower on the bot side, and the lanes have swapped fairly evenly, so Caitlyn and Morgana should still be able to hold on to this top one. And if they can get something together, get an advantage state, get someone dead, they can use that Herald, get themselves back in the game, a bit of gold in their pockets, to maybe try and catch up with the item spikes that you pointed out that the side of SDS are coming very close to here. Muppet's going to find Nova in the bush.
He will. He already uses the Crescent Guard. You've got the flash on Supernova, but not quite the feast. There is the slow. There is the knockup. And the Fury Beyond Death connects as well. The Cho'Gath, he might just get cut down, but here goes Criminal Boy. The Ignite is dropping. And Wheatfish from over the wall with that Power Star. Criminal Boy 1 versus 2 uses the Cataclysm, but to no effect. Muppet picks himself up yet another kill as Yariat, he's just run down. And Wheatfish gets the second kill of the fight. 2-0-1 on the Zoe. And Seadogs, they are slowly running over Prototype in that mid game.
The goon squad of Xin Zhao and Urgot running the jungle. The ghost comes out from Urgot there from that spell, but he's getting so much value of this rune so far. And then the good use of the slow to keep Cho'Gath in them. There's just nothing J4 or Lissandra can do. Wheatfish coming over to finish it off as well. Really nice rotations to there, and they are going to pick up that second Mountain Drake. And they're in a much better position to use it right now, because these are the ones who are pushing into this lane and getting actual pressure onto these objectives.
And the top lane turret is running low. The mid lane turret will be under siege. And an important point to notice about the last fight is that Wheatfish, he picked himself up 2 kills, which means that he has about enough gold to get that Luden's Echo on Zoe. And you mentioned how Wheatfish's Zoe is a scary one to face. Any Zoe with Luden's Echo is a scary one to face. Put 2 and 2 together and you will have a monster in the mid game.
Yeah, it looks like, as we're watching this top lane here, Mechner is actually landing pretty good bindings this game. He's not being a slouch in this lane, but they've just been put in a position where they can't actually get any advantage of it. And look, Lissandra has had to drop that Herald in the mid lane, not actually any good use out of it. And here comes the Urgot actually to maybe punish.
Tenente will just come and clear the Urgot. Definitely was in a position to try and force something on the Yariad, but so many cooldowns available for the Lissandra means no dive, as the 3-man stack of Seadogs in the top lane just taking the turret. Nice pressure juggle across the map, just making sure that Prototype cannot respond in any way whatsoever.
So what PRT need to do is they need to force something, not a 5v5 ideally, but the side of SDS, they're playing at fairly standard laning still. They're just kind of split, they've swapped the map over, but it's still 2-1-1 in these solo lanes, so they're not actually grouping that often. They grouped, Muppet came over to secure that top lane tower, but they're pretty much still in standard lane orientations, and they need to find a way to get in and actually use the CC that they have available to them if the side of SDS aren't going to group up to try and defend against it. They're just not finding a window to do that so far because the vision from SDS is very strong. You can see along that top side, all the way into that top lane even, plus 2 pink wards in that river. Got a lot of it warded out. So the Jarvan, I guess, is having a lot of trouble finding a window, like a little crack to creep through and find his way into a lane. And here comes more pressure on the Cho'Gath.
Supernova will run out. Now we could be seeing a fight in the jungle. Criminal Boy is waiting for an opening. Potentially that Catalysm is crucial in those jungle scenarios. Wheatfish is coming over the wall. A nice chunk of damage onto Mechna Prototype. They are hesitant to commit just because of how far behind they are on items. Triforce now on Philister. This Ezreal is dishing out the damage. And you talked about division. It is lethal to not have division control against the Zoe. We are seeing what Wheatfish does. He's just throwing out the bubbles left, right and center and finding the picks and creating so much pressure.
We saw how much damage he did to PRT Mechna there, and he hasn't even gone back to buy. You mentioned that he has enough Ludens. Kid doesn't even need it. He hasn't been back in so long. He's got this bounty build up and the gold, and he's just sticking around, throwing himself into the face of PRT and just chunking them down so well. So a lot of turrets have fallen. Is that 3 turrets have fallen in the last few minutes? They are just going from lane to lane, knocking that thing down. Using this Ezreal poke, he's getting a lot of good damage off. He's using that W on the turrets to speed that one up. And like you said, Wheatfish is making anyone who steps up to try and defend that tower is in danger of their life. So it's the window in which PRT can make an impact on this game is rapidly closing. And we've seen that they have had trouble with this kind of state in the past, in their previous games, and we need them to find an answer to it quickly because Baron is going to be on this map soon, and I think that SDS are not going to be afraid to contest it.
And Prototype that are yet to pick up a win in the league, and going after your second week still without a win is very tough. So Prototype, they will need to make something happen as the Baron is spawning in 1.5 minutes and under. So the window is indeed closing, but let's maybe look for a slightly positive side for this side of Prototype, and the question is simple: do they have the late game to contest against SDS, or will they fail even then?
So if we run down position by position, Urgot versus Cho'Gath, I think they're actually fairly comparable in the late game. Both of them become very tanky, and then both of them are kind of relatively... Well, Cho'Gath is relatively burst damage, more of a surprise kind of character. Urgot can deal out a bit more DPS, but he doesn't have as much innate tankiness as this Cho'Gath. Especially we see Supernova, who has gone Righteous Glory, Tabbies, and Cloth Armor. Not Cloth Armor, I should say. The Piercing Vest?
The Bramble Vest, I think.
Bramble Vest, that is the one. Thank you, my friend. So he's going full tank here. He is going to be an absolute beef load if he gets to that point, and Weedfish will be the only one who damages him. But that kind of burst Zoe damage isn't really good enough to chunk through someone like Cho'Gath. So he is going to become incredibly difficult to kill if they can get down here. And like I say earlier, the Caitlyn going into these crit itemizations, she is going to be dishing out a huge amount as well, and there's not that much in terms of tankiness for the side of SDS. So if they maybe try and force an engage, or they overstep, or if someone actually gets caught out, there's not really that much that they can do to keep them alive. PRT should be able to burst them down using their chain CC. So they need to try and find one person, I think, because right now they're just kind of getting run around the map. And I think that if they can actually just see someone rotating, we see them getting a lot more vision down in their own jungle, which I like. Gives them more of a read on where the enemy is going. They can maybe hide in a brush, as they might be looking to do here, catch the Zoe rotating to a lane, maybe taking a bit too risky of a path, and then they can actually pick them off. And once they've got a man advantage, they can shove those waves out, get the pressure back in their favor, and look to complete more of those items to get back in the... It's unlucky that Criminal Boy's lost his flash there. It's not going to make it easy to engage. Definitely still doable, though, with the flag and drag.
Yeah, Jarvan has enough engage on his own, but without that summoner it becomes so much more difficult to engage or even potentially get into that Baron. However, it looks like the side of Seadogs, they are not interested in that Baron, but Mechna is deleted by Weedfish. Those Pile Stars look more like the Death Stars in this.
Dang, dude, and that's we have the trap line down for Caitlyn at least, makes it a little harder, but they do not even care.
Jungle Difference victim is just deleted as well. Muppet gets the kill in the end. Criminal trying to engage a double kill for this Ninja. There is the Frozen Tomb from Yaria trying to buy some more time. Flashes forward onto the Weedfish. He's sitting in that backline doing as much as he can. Supernova slays Mammal, however, Yaria will fall in the end. That's actually a double kill for Supernova. Mechna has respawned. The inhibitor now is under attack. A binding connects onto Tenete. However, Weedfish is still alive, dishing out the damage with those Pile Stars. The inhibitor top lane finally falls down, and now Seadogs look to disengage from that base and look towards that Baron.
Dude, Weedfish is just making every fight that SDS takes so advantageous for them before it even begins. He's doing so much work on this Zoe to just pick off Mechna in particular. He's identified that target. Mechna does not have a locket anymore, doesn't have any MR, so he's just kind of going straight for him and can just blow him up, as we saw there. Without the Morgana, that takes away the Black Shield pivotally for someone like Jungle Difference Victim, who they just kind of dogpile on, and they're 10k hold ahead right now. They can just kind of run at him real fast, and there's not that much Jungle Difference can do if he doesn't have his summoners up, because he does have that TP, doesn't have another combat summoner to maybe an exhaust or heal to get him out of there. And it looks like SDS are going to go into this Baron. They are going to dare Prototype to challenge them. We'll have to see if they can make a play here.
A Prototype are sitting behind that pit. Supernova has no way of getting in, no flash, no blast cone. There is a super child bubble, and the engage is coming through from the side of Seadogs. Muppet is sitting on that front line. Mechna trying to do anything with those soul shackles will get deleted by Philister. Nice traps for the disengage by Prototype, but they are definitely not the ones wanting to disengage, as the Baron will be just retreated back onto by Seadogs by picking themselves up yet another kill. Do Prototype try to contest that once again? A good sleepy trouble bubble. There is the Paddle Star sniping Yaria from behind Supernova. The Baron is now the target. Trillium Boy is looking to get into the pit. He's in a bit of a pickle, has to flag and drag away from the wall, and that should be the objective secure. Well played by Seadogs. They get the Baron at 23 minutes into the game, sitting comfortably at over 12,000 golded, and a top lane inhibitor down. They will be looking to close this game out.
Weedfish is on an absolute roll here. Just before they made that first engage off the Baron, we saw him actually thread the needle and hit a trouble bubble onto Caitlyn, almost took her down as well. Mechna went in and actually did get, I think it was a 5-man soul shackles. Really nice use of the ultimate there, but pivotally we see the lack of the gold disadvantage that he is at means he doesn't have his Zhonya's ready, so he just gets melted down before he can use the Zhonya's and actually, you know, get some sort of value out of the ultimate. He just kind of burns down before it can land. And then Weedfish goes in and he lands that bubble onto Lissandra right next to the wall. It's actually so good there because no one can stand in front of it because the wall is there. So they have this Cho'Gath with this big beefy body that can eat that Paddle Star and not really care about it. But because the Lissandra's right up against the wall, he can't fit in the space to get in the way, and he just gets popped again. So then Weedfish gets another kill for them, and then they just have that freedom to go back to the Baron without the Lissandra AoE disruption that is so useful in these Baron fights. That's been translated into the inhibitor, and now SDS, really they just got to walk it in. They can run that flowchart down. They've got one wave who's getting super minions in, one wave for Baron minions in. It is going to be very tight for PRT. They still have tools that they can use. We haven't seen them use them yet. I want to see them actually get involved and get stuck in, because they have to just do something. Otherwise, they're just going to get macroed into the loss here.
And you mentioned earlier on that pick potential. They need to find the one person, but with a Baron buff and an inhib down, it's just so damn difficult. Mechna, he just barely survives on this Morgana. The damage is insane as the bot lane inhibitor turret will be taken down, and the inhibitor is now under scrutiny. As Seadogs, they're just walking the minions into the base, not letting Prototype breathe for a single second. We'll be looking to take all 3 inhibitors. And can Prototype even do anything at this point is the question that we should be asking.
Yeah, Mechna's still landing these reasonable bindings, but the pressure from Wheatfish coming in. Here comes Lissandra.
Lissandra is going in the middle of the fight. A nice capital system coming through. Supernova actually gets the kill onto Philistore, and Temonito in the front line doing work. However, Wheatfish is taken down by the jungle difference, and Prototype might be looking to win this fight already. 3-4-0. A great fight as the Caitlyn picks up the double kill, and they manage to hold themselves in that game for just a little while longer.
25 minutes in, we see Prototype go, yes, they remember we've got all these things. They go in, they press all of their buttons, and oh my goodness, do they get value out of it. That was such a nice fight for them. I think the SDS maybe just got a little bit cocky there. They were pushing in. They thought, we've got 3 inhibs, we got Baron, Wheatfish is fucking 1v9ing, let's just do it, let's just go in. And then they all clump up right into that Lissandra AoE with the Jarvan as well. Really nicely played team fight by the side of Prototype, and they're going to try and move to this dragon to get something additional off it.
However, Muppet is here to contest. Can he steal it? He will in the end. That is a major field, Spadman. If you are Prototype giving over the second Mountain Drake. That good play from Muppet, good attempt from Prototype, but in the end it goes in favor of Seadogs.
He just walks up, smites it, turns around and walks away. Easy as that. And now they've got the super minions pouring into the base. This is so tricky for PT. The next time that SDS show up, they're not going to have the Baron buff, but they're going to have 3 lanes of super minions, maybe actually just 2. The top inhib has spawned again, and with the Caitlyn scaling up, she's got 2 items completed now. Cho'Gath and Lissandra definitely have a viable wave clear, so they could hold them off, and if they can get another fight like last time, they have the tools. We know they have the tools. So maybe SDS needs to be a little more considered about their engages, let Wheatfish do a little bit more work on that Zoe. Summoners are still down importantly though, so if they take a fight, they are not going to have as many mobility options to get away, and we can see them being a lot more considered here. They're going to the jungle, sweeping out, putting wards. They're like, okay, let's not fall into that trap again. That went badly. Let's just go for this inhib. Let's go back to that flowchart that was doing so well for us earlier.
And they will be looking to siege up that top lane. They still have got the double lanes of super minions. The last fight has hopefully taught them something. They will not try and group against this team composition. It will be crucial as Prototype. They are holding on to dear life in this game. There is the Righteous Glory from Supernova. He finds knock up onto Mamo. However, that is not a hell of a lot of damage. Supernova gets chunked to half HP actually, and the inhibitor, I should say, is now the target. Seadogs are in a very comfortable spot as the tank had to retreat to the base. That is the 3rd inhibitor down. The next starts are now the target. You have got flash on the Yarriet. He can go into that backline if necessary. Grimble has good dagger. That is a knockup onto Mamo. He's delayed on the face of the end. Supernova is on a rampage. Kyber Muppet goes into the backline. A double cataclysm onto the carries of the side of Seadogs, and jungle defense slays Wheatfish is down. The Zoe is down. I repeat, this is not a duel. Tenente actually gets the free BLF onto Yarriet. We still have Philistore, the Ezreal. Can he dish out the damage? Can he do the work that Seadogs needs him to do? So far the answer is yes. That's a double kill. Jungle defense will fall, and Seadogs in the end will take the ace, will take the win, and will pull themselves up to a 3-1 score.
That is an absolutely valiant effort from PRT there, but Philistore, he played that so well. He kited back so far. You see he's got 3 completed items, both that tier and that Triforce. They couldn't quite finish him off. They managed to finish off Wheatfish again. They catch him in that Jarvan ult. They just got it. PRT just got their heads in the game a couple minutes before, and it's unfortunate they were so far gone by that point, because it really looked like they could take it. And if maybe Philistore wasn't quite as fed and they got maybe a slightly better engage, that could have been an absolute swing to get some more inhibs coming along. They could have pushed that one out. So glimmers of hope for PRT here. They're definitely not rolling over, and they can identify what they need to do, but just they got rolled over too hard early on, and Wheatfish, especially in that mid and late game, did so much work in keeping SDS ahead, making sure every time they fight, they were always in advantage state. I think I just can't give enough props to him in this game. That was so impressive.
It was, however, also mapped the early lane advantages in that bot lane, in that top lane. He was just all over the map, and as you said, Wheatfish in the end just carrying over the torch. And it looked like for a second Prototype might come back, but Philstor in that last fight coming up, getting all the kills in it, as well as Tenente taking care of jungle difference victim, ultimately got Seadogs the win. And well, Prototype slightly a heartbreak in another loss to their name, but well, I mean, it did look good at least for that 1 point.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think PRT do have what it takes to get some wins on the board here, and SDS is definitely a strong team. They're now at 3-1. They're on the way on the top side of those standings. We know they're a good team. They've been playing together a long time. There's a lot of innate synergy between these players. So actually being able to do something here and bring it back at such a disadvantaged state, they've proved that they can find those good fights, which is what they've had trouble with before. So like I say, it's a glimmer of hope for PRT. I'm excited to see what they can build that into in the following weeks, but we cannot diminish what Seadogs did there. Really strong game for the vast majority of it. A little bit trouble closing out, but overall, just amazingly well played. And as you say, I think Muppet was somewhat of an unsung hero in that game. He made a lot of big plays bot lane to keep his team in the game, and then they managed to shrug off any kind of disadvantage they might have gotten going up against a very scary Caitlyn Morgana lane. So he definitely had a big part keeping his team around there. I think if I had to go for an MVP, I think it still has to go to Weedfish for me. Maybe at least half of it is just on style points for those big Zoe plays, and he had so much pressure in those middle late game fights. So I don't know if you feeling differently about that.
I am going to go actually, in my opinion, I think Muppet was the person, because yes, Wheatfish, impressive Zoe, those picks were just very good, but I always like to see a jungler that just gets into these lanes and makes the difference. And hey, that was Muppet this game, so that's what I'm going with.
Fair enough, dude. I like it. I respect the pick.
Is there anything else that we should talk about, or is it about the time that we finish?
I believe that's about it. I think we've covered all of it.
Yeah. We have in the end, Seadogs will take the win over Prototype in that game 2. And this will be it from us. Don't forget to tune in next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, the same times as this. And I've been Kachka, and I was joined by CJ, and good night, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Dit is een keer wat we hier zien.